Ladies, let's talk about that one sentence, the one that doesn't just catch her attention, but locks it in. Now, hear me out. Most men think it's about flashy compliments or over-the-top declarations. Nope, that's noise. What actually creates obsession is subtle power. Let me show you what I mean. The moment you say, I really love the way your mind works. It's rare to find someone I can connect with like this. Watch what happens. Her eyes will soften. She'll lean in. Why? Because in one sentence, you've told her three things. You see her beyond the surface. You admire her, but not blindly. You're different from every other guy throwing shallow lines at her. But here's the twist. It's not just the words. It's your delivery. Say it slow. Make eye contact. Pause after connect with like this. Let the silence breathe. Let her fill it with curiosity. This is how obsession starts. Not with games, but with grounded presence and a dash of mystery. Don't over-explain. Don't follow up with 5 more compliments. Let the power of that one sentence linger. Leave her wondering what else you see, what else you value, what it would feel like to be fully seen by you. Trust me, when you say the right thing the right way, she'll replay that moment 100 times in her head. And that is how you trigger her obsession. What you say can catch her attention, but how you say it is what truly holds it. Confidence in communication isn't just about speaking loudly or sounding sure of yourself. It's about energy, presence, and a calm command that tells her, without a word, I've got this. You see, when a man speaks with real confidence, his words carry weight. They don't just float through the air. They land. Women don't just hear you. They feel you. And when they feel you, they remember you. They think about you, and they begin to crave more of that experience. More of you. The secret here isn't bravado. It's not about being cocky, overbearing, or always having the last word. That kind of noise gets old quickly. Real confidence is quiet. It's measured. It knows it doesn't have to prove anything because it already believes in itself. And that belief, it's magnetic. Women can sense it the moment you speak. Let's get one thing clear. Women listen differently than men. They're tuned in to tone, body language, intention. When you speak to her, she's picking up on everything. How much eye contact you make, the steadiness of your voice, whether you pause to let your words sink in or rush to fill the silence. Silence, by the way, is powerful. A man who's comfortable with pauses is a man who's not afraid of being fully present. And presence? That's rare and incredibly attractive. Now, confidence doesn't mean dominating the conversation. It means owning your space in it. You're not trying to impress her with flashy stories or exaggerated opinions. You're simply speaking your truth with clarity, calm, and grounded energy. That subtle power is what hits deep. It tells her you're not just another guy trying to win her over. You're not here for approval. You're already whole. And that changes the entire dynamic. Even in vulnerability, there is confidence. If you talk about something real, your dreams, your fears, your values, and you do it with no need for validation, it shows massive self-respect. It tells her, I'm not afraid to be seen, and that invites her to open up in return. Vulnerability, when paired with strength, creates emotional depth, and emotional depth is the breeding ground for obsession. Pay attention to how you speak. Avoid filler words like, or you know. They dilute your message. Replace them with intentional pauses. Speak slightly slower than you think you should. It gives your words weight. Lower your tone just a little. It subconsciously communicates calmness, authority, and focus. And don't forget your body. How you sit, how you look at her, how you breathe. It all plays a part. Sit with your shoulders back, not puffed out, but relaxed. Don't fidget. Keep steady eye contact, especially when you're saying something meaningful. A well-timed glance can say more than a paragraph. And your breath, keep it even. A man who breathes deeply and slowly is a man who's in control, not just of the conversation, but of himself. At the end of the day, confidence in communication comes down to one thing: knowing your worth and letting that truth echo through every word, every silence, and every look. When you do that, she won't just hear what you're saying, she'll feel the energy behind it. And that's what gets under her skin. That's what stays on her mind. That's what triggers obsession. Intrigue is one of the most underestimated forces in attraction. It's not about being confusing or hard to read. It's about being just unpredictable enough to spark curiosity, just deep enough to make her wonder what's really going on in his mind. When a woman is intrigued, she becomes mentally and emotionally engaged, and once that switch is flipped, obsession isn't far behind. Think about it. The human mind is wired to close loops. When there's a question left unanswered, a mystery not yet solved, or a story that hints at more than it reveals, we become invested. Intrigue works the same way. It keeps you from being too obvious, too available, or too easy to figure out. You're not withholding. You're inviting her to lean in, to discover more, to earn a deeper look into who you are. Most guys go wrong here. They overshare too quickly, hoping that being an open book will make her feel connected. But true connection doesn't come from laying everything on the table right away. It comes from revealing yourself in layers. Intrigue is about those layers, showing her just enough to feel something, but holding back just enough to make her want to explore further. The tone you use matters. Your words should suggest, not explain. When she asks what you're thinking, don't say, "Nothing much." Say, "If I told you, it might change the way you look at me." Now her imagination is engaged. You've taken a simple moment and turned it into something electric. That's intrigue. The stories you share should also have an edge of the unexpected. Maybe you mention a trip you took alone, not just for fun, but because you needed to disconnect and realign with your purpose. Maybe you talk about a decision that went against the grain because you trusted your gut, not the crowd. These little moments tell her that you think differently, that there's more beneath the surface than what she sees, and that more is what keeps her hooked. Body language plays a role too. When you're confident but slightly reserved, when your eyes say more than your words, when you smile like you know something she doesn't, it adds tension, not in a game-playing way, but in a natural, masculine way. You're not trying to be mysterious. You simply are, because you have depth. And depth isn't something you announce. It's something you reveal over time. Even in texting, intrigue can shine through. Don't always respond instantly. Don't over-explain your every move. Leave space for her to wonder. If she says something flirty, don't just mirror it. Push the energy slightly. Say something that makes her pause and reread it twice. For example, "There's a reason I haven't told you what I'm thinking right now, but you'll understand when the time's right." That one message will have her thinking about you for hours. But here's the key. Intrigue without substance becomes manipulation. You need to have something deeper going on in your life. Passions. Words are powerful, but the right words, said in the right way at the right moment, can leave a mark on a woman's mind that she won't forget. That's the power of a specific trigger phrase. It's not about saying something scripted or manipulative. It's about using language that taps directly into her emotional core. Her need to feel seen, valued, safe, and desired in a way that feels rare. When you hit that nerve, you don't just get her attention, you live in her thoughts. So what kind of phrase has that effect? It's one that cuts through surface level attraction and speaks to something deeper. Think of a phrase like, "There's something about the way you think. It's rare. I feel like I can actually talk to you." Now pause. That might sound simple, but read it again. That sentence carries weight because it isn't focused on how she looks. It's focused on something far more intimate, her mind. You're letting her know that you see her, that you're present, that you value something most men overlook. That's the emotional trigger. And when a woman feels emotionally understood, you unlock something that pure physical attraction never will. But here's what makes it even more effective. You're not just complimenting her, you're elevating her. You're implying that she's different from the rest, that she's one of the very few women who's reached you on a meaningful level. That makes her feel special, and people chase what makes them feel special. Let's break this down further. The reason a phrase like that works is because it includes three essential elements. Recognition, you're acknowledging something unique about her. Connection, you're sharing how it personally affects you. Rarity, you're suggesting this isn't a common experience for you. Together, those three things create a sense of emotional exclusivity. And exclusivity breeds obsession. This isn't just about throwing out compliments randomly, though. A phrase like this only works when it's genuine and timed right. Don't say it within minutes of meeting her. It'll sound empty. Instead, let the conversation evolve. Pick up on something she says that genuinely strikes you. Maybe she shares a perspective that surprises you. Maybe she challenges you in a way that gets your attention. That's your moment. Lean in slightly, lock eyes, and then say it. Most people don't think like that. "I love the way your mind works." Then let it hang in the air. No rush. No need to follow it up with 10 other compliments. That silence after your words, that's where the magic happens. That's where she starts feeling something shift, where she starts wondering about you, thinking about what you really see in her, wanting to hear what else you'll say next. A well-placed trigger phrase isn't about making her fall for you instantly. It's about planting a seed, a feeling that you're different, that your presence feels good, that being around you opens something in her she didn't even realize she wanted opened. You use a trigger phrase that connects with her emotionally, she'll start looking at you differently. Not just as a man she's attracted to, but as someone who gets her. And that kind of connection, that's the kind she tells her friends about. That's the kind that keeps her coming back. That's the kind that builds obsession. The words you use are important, but the tone in which you speak them carries far more weight than most people realize. A man's voice isn't just a tool for communication. It's a gateway to emotion, energy, and influence. The tone of your voice can draw a woman in, hold her attention, and create a deep emotional imprint that lingers long after the conversation is over. Think about this. Two men can say the exact same sentence to a woman. Let's say, "I like the way your mind works." One says it fast, high-pitched, rushed, maybe even a little unsure. The other says it slowly, with a calm, low tone, a slight pause afterward, and steady eye contact. Which one hits harder? Which one sticks in her memory? It's not even a competition. Your voice tone is directly tied to how grounded and present you are. When your tone is calm, deep, and deliberate, it radiates confidence. It tells her you're in control, not just of the conversation, but of yourself. And that self-control is incredibly attractive. It makes her feel like she's in the presence of someone secure, someone who doesn't need to chase approval or fill silence with nervous chatter. Women are emotionally tuned in. They listen not only to what you say, but to how you say it. When your tone is warm, stable, and intentional, it creates a sense of emotional safety. It invites her to relax, open up, and feel something real. On the flip side, if your tone is flat, robotic, or rushed, it can kill the moment, even if your words are perfect. One of the most powerful things you can do is lower your vocal tone slightly when you're speaking to her, not in a forced or theatrical way, but naturally. A slightly deeper voice triggers primal associations with strength, masculinity, and leadership. It signals that you're grounded in your energy, not scattered or anxious. Equally important is pacing. Don't rush your words. Speak slightly slower than you're used to. This gives your sentences more weight and gives her time to feel your words. It also signals that you're not in a hurry, that you're comfortable in your skin and confident enough to take your time. And when you pause, that pause becomes a powerful tool. It creates anticipation. It gives her space to react emotionally before you say the next thing. Tone is also about variation. A voice that stays in the same range, speed, and rhythm gets boring quickly. Use slight shifts in tone to emphasize emotion or add intrigue. If you're telling a story, lower your voice at the punchline. If you're making a flirtatious comment, soften your tone just enough to let her know you're being intentional. These subtle shifts tell her you're emotionally intelligent, tuned in, and fully engaged. And don't underestimate the power of a whisper. Not literally whispering everything, of course, but occasionally lowering your volume just a touch in more intimate moments. It creates an atmosphere. It draws her closer, physically and emotionally. It forces her to lean in, literally or mentally. And that closeness is where connection grows. Ultimately, your voice is an extension of your presence. When used consciously, it becomes a tool for seduction, trust, and influence. It lets her feel your confidence without you having to declare it. It allows your words to land with meaning, not just sound. If you can master your tone, own it, control it, and use it with intention, you'll find that sometimes it's not the words that she remembers, it's the way you said them that keeps echoing in her mind. Presence is one of the most powerful yet underrated traits a man can have. It's not something you can fake, and it's not about being loud, flashy, or dominant. True presence is quiet power. It's the ability to make someone feel like nothing else in the world matters in that moment except the two of you. And when a woman feels that kind of focused attention, it becomes unforgettable. We live in a world full of distractions. People are constantly scrolling, multitasking, and half listening. So when a man shows up fully engaged, fully grounded, and fully aware of the moment he's in, it stands out and it feels different. A woman can feel when you're present with her. She notices when your eyes don't flicker toward your phone, when your attention doesn't drift away the second something else catches your eye. That steady, locked-in energy tells her you're here with her, and that makes her feel important, valued, and safe. Presence doesn't require a lot of words. In fact, it often thrives in silence. It's in the way you look at her when she's talking, not just waiting for your turn to speak, but actually listening. It's the way you respond with intention, not default. It's in the small moments when you're completely tuned into her energy, her expressions, her tone, her body language, and you react not out of habit, but out of genuine awareness. This kind of presence creates emotional intimacy. It builds trust. Because when she feels that you're not scattered, not distracted, and not performative, she starts to open up. She leans in. She becomes more expressive, more playful, and more emotionally connected. And that's where the real magic happens. That's when attraction deepens into obsession. When she feels like she's seen in a way few people ever truly see her. Being present also communicates confidence. It shows you're not living in your head, overthinking every word or trying to control the outcome. You're simply in the moment, grounded in your own energy and comfortable with whatever unfolds. That comfort tells her she can relax around you. It builds a sense of ease that most people are starved for. And presence doesn't stop at conversation. It extends to how you carry yourself. When you walk into a room, do you pause, breathe, and observe, or do you rush in, checking your phone and looking around nervously? When you touch her, is it distracted and casual, or is it slow, intentional, and aware of how she responds? These small details matter. They send signals that speak louder than words. Practicing presence starts with your breath. Sounds simple, but it's everything. Slow, steady breathing keeps you grounded in your body. When you breathe deeply, you naturally slow down your pace, your speech, and your reactions. That calm rhythm becomes contagious. It slows her down, too. She starts to mirror your energy, to sink into the moment with you. And that's where emotional and physical chemistry begins to bloom. Validation is important in any connection, especially when it comes to building trust and attraction with a woman. But there's a fine line between making her feel seen and placing her on a pedestal. When you cross that line, what starts as admiration turns into worship. And that's where things begin to fall apart. A woman doesn't want to be idolized. She wants to be appreciated by a man who values himself just as much. When you validate a woman in the right way, you're not chasing her approval. You're showing her that you recognize her worth while standing firm in your own. You're saying, I see you, I admire you, but I don't need you to complete me. That balance is powerful. It makes her feel special without making you seem desperate or dependent. There's a fine line between making a woman feel special and putting her on a pedestal, and if you're trying to trigger real emotional attraction, learning how to validate without worship is non-negotiable. Women love to feel seen, appreciated, and admired, but the moment your compliments feel like blind devotion, something shifts. You go from being magnetic to being predictable, even disposable. And the worst part, she may not even realize why she lost interest. Validation is powerful when it's real and earned. It hits differently when it comes from a man who clearly respects himself, who has options, who isn't impressed by everything and everyone, but still chooses to notice something unique in her. That's what women crave. Not generic praise, but intentional recognition from someone they admire. It's the difference between saying, "You're so pretty," and saying, "There's something about your energy tonight. It's really drawing me in." The first is easy to say, the second tells her you're paying attention. Here's the secret. Women want to feel chosen, not worshipped. When you constantly put her above yourself, you throw off the balance of the interaction. You stop being a challenge. You stop being the grounded, self-assured man she was initially drawn to, and instead you become someone who needs her approval more than you need your own standards. That kind of dynamic makes her feel pressure rather than pleasure. Genuine validation is specific, limited, and offered from a place of strength. You're not praising her to win points. You're simply acknowledging something that genuinely moves you. Maybe it's the way she laughs with whole face. Maybe it's how she handled a situation with grace. Maybe it's her confidence in a room full of people. When your compliments reflect deeper qualities, they go straight to her core. They bypass ego and hit the heart. But you also have to be okay with not validating everything. That's where respect grows. You don't need to agree with every opinion she has or applaud every move she makes. In fact, when you occasionally challenge her or hold your ground in a calm, assertive way, it tells her you're not just there to please her. You're there to relate to her, to connect with her as an equal, not as a fan. Don't be afraid to gently tease her. to question her views, to give her that look that says, I like you, but I'm still deciding just how much. That little bit of tension, that play between validation and independence, creates a spark. It makes her want to work for your attention a little. It makes her value it more when she gets it. And when you do compliment her, do it in a way that reflects your calm certainty. Don't rush it. Don't oversell it. Say it with eye contact. Say it like you mean it. Then move on. Let it hang. Let her feel it. That restraint, that ability to validate her without needing anything in return, is what makes her wonder about you long after the conversation ends. So yes, give her moments that make her feel beautiful, seen, admired, but always from a place of choice, not desperation. That's the difference between validation and worship. One builds attraction, the other quietly kills it. The most unforgettable connections are the ones that leave you thinking, what was that? It's the moment you walk away from someone, but their energy lingers. Something they said, the way they said it, the way they made you feel. It loops in your mind like a melody you can't stop humming. That's the power of ending with a hook. It's not just about the last thing you say. It's about leaving a lasting effect. So let's be clear. If you want to trigger a woman's obsession, don't just focus on the first impression. Master the final impression. Because it's often the last thing you say, the last look you give, or the last pause before you walk away that determines whether she forgets you or starts thinking about you non-stop. A hook isn't about being clever or manipulative. It's about creating emotional resonance. It's about saying something that leaves a question mark, not a period, something that keeps her imagination active. For example, instead of ending a conversation with, talk soon, say, I'll tell you the rest next time, if you're lucky. That one line, it plants a seed. It invites curiosity. It makes her want more. You're not giving her closure, you're giving her anticipation. Hooks can be verbal or nonverbal. Maybe it's a lingering glance as you walk away, a subtle smirk, a playful you'll see when she asks something personal. Maybe it's the way you pause and look at her for just a second too long before saying goodbye. These are the moments that don't just communicate interest, they communicate depth. They say, there's more to me than what you've seen so far, but you'll have to earn the rest. And that's the magic. When a woman feels like she hasn't figured you out completely, when she feels like there's more to discover, more to unfold, she leans in. She gets emotionally invested. She starts replaying the moment, trying to decode it, trying to understand what exactly just happened between the two of you. This doesn't mean being distant or cold. It means being intentional with your energy. It means knowing when to step back, when to let the silence do the talking, when to exit with elegance, instead of over-explaining or oversharing. It means knowing that mystery, when balanced with warmth, creates desire. Here's another subtle but powerful hook, sharing a small insight or compliment that reveals something personal about her, something she may not even realize about herself. Then walk away. That moment will echo in her mind. She'll think, how did he see that? That feeling that someone understands her more deeply than expected becomes addictive. Even in texting, your last message can be a hook. End the conversation not with a flat emoji or lol, but with something like, you're trouble, aren't you? Or, I'll let you think about that. It's playful, it's open-ended, and it keeps you in her mind longer than any formal goodbye ever could. The goal isn't to impress her, it's to imprint on her, to create emotional friction that stays with her when you're no longer in the room. That's how you trigger curiosity. That's how you build anticipation. And ultimately, That's how you become unforgettable. Because when you master the hook, she's not just hoping to see you again, she's waiting for it.